Hey again, welcome back to Daily Dose of Anime Recaps. In this episode, we'll be covering episodes 17 through 20 of the series Dragon Quest Dai no Daibuken. In this world, the mystical heroes Dai and his companions are engaged in a war against the Dark Lord Hadler, his legion commanders, and his monster armies. Dai, Pop, Mam, and Baduk are currently enacting an infiltration mission on the island Flazard has erected a giant forbidden magic circle to detain Princess Leona. As the heroes attempt to rescue her, a strange conspiracy brews around Dai, with Hadler and his legion commanders at the center. Will Dai discover something tragic in the coming moments surrounding his mystical dragon crest, or will he be able to save his loved ones from certain death? Before we begin, make sure you become a subscriber and hit the notification button so you never miss an episode from us. Episode 17 begins with Flazard enraged in his tower, guard Princess Leona as a hostage when he could be engaged in battle. We find that she only has until sundown to live, meaning Dai and his companions must rescue her before then. As Dai charges against Flazard Blizzblaze flame soldiers, they are interrupted by strange foes behind them. They are surrounded by Zabaweera's Mystic Legion and Mistvirn's Shadow Legion, two extremely powerful foes. Meanwhile, Pop and Mam are surrounded by strange monsters and beasts led by Hadler the Dark Lord. Pop quakes, recognizing Hadler's deadly voice. Split up, Baduk and Dai fight against the Mystic Shadow Legion, whilst Pop and Mam prepare to fight against Hadler and his legion. Hadler laughs at the scrawny Pop who wishes to avenge his sensei, only to end up fighting against the very killer in a fight that will ensure the mage's death. Mam introduces herself as another student of Yvonne, and Hadler taunts her by mocking Yvonne's death. Enraged, she rushes into a fight with Hadler but is swiftly and brutally attacked by a powerful punch. Hadler casts powerful magic and hits Pop and Mam in a fiery explosion. Meanwhile, Mistvirn is fighting powerfully against Dai, who seems unable to fight back. We then find out that Mistvirn has the commander who trained Hyunkel in dark aura magic. Baduk is cornered by Zabaweera, while Dai is controlled by Mistvirn's aura puppeteering. We find out that Pop absorbed the brunt of Hadler's spell in order to protect Mam, and that Hadler's powers have since increased since the fight with Yvonne. Pop, about to give up, is empowered by Mam in her weakened state. He resolves that he must protect Mam and assist Dai, and that he cannot give up until the very end. He encounters Hadler's attack with an extremely powerful sizzle that overpowered even Hadler's. Pop uses one of Baduk's bombs and throws it at the army, after casting sizzle to explode it. With a momentary pause from battle, Pop thanks his mentor for his training, and then they begin to escape. Though Hadler is unfazed by the attack and emerges from the flames, Hadler prepares an all-powerful Kaziz spell that obliterates Pop and Mam, and we cut to Dai being controlled by Mistvirn's magic. After Dai learns of Hadler's presence, he begins to wriggle free from Mistvirn's magic. Just then, Gomachan arrives and knocks Mistvirn's spell away, freeing Dai. Just before the Dark Legion commander can attack, a giant boulder lands on top of them, and from a distant cliff edge, we see the Beast King Crocodine. The reformed beast has arrived to save the disciples of Yvonne and joins in the fight. As he does this, he reveals another powerful ally is on his way to assist Pop and Mam. However, we don't know who this savior is. Meanwhile, Hadler approaches Pop and Mam and is about to execute them, and Pop pleads to spare Mam. Hadler finds out that he is in love with Mam and decides that in that case, she must die. Hadler prepares to impale her body on the ice spire, which suddenly crumbles into shards. Emerging from the shrapnel, Hyunkel appears holding on to Mam. He has survived and has arrived to fight against Hadler alongside Pop and Mam. Crocodile launches Pop towards the tower to fight Flazard, which ends the episode. Episode 18 begins with the arrival of two heroes, Crocodile and Hyunkel, reformed legion commanders of Hadler's army. Hyunkel reveals that he was saved from the brink of death by Crocodile, who leapt into the lava and rescued him selflessly. We see the circumstances of Hyunkel's survival, and we really begin to pity him for his internal turmoil. Crocodile's kind words to inspire him to fight back against Hadler, and he remembers the tears shed by Crocodile and Mam as the first acts of human kindness towards him. Hyunkel's aura summons the Dark Blade, his extremely powerful weapon armor, and the Beast King and former Undead Legion commander form an unbreakable bond of respect and friendship. Hyunkel sends Pop and Mam to the tower and decides to fight against Hadler himself. Hadler commands his soldiers to execute Hyunkel, and they begin a world-breaking fight. Meanwhile, Crocodile smashes the Mystic and Shadow Legions with his Beast King Anguish Blast and fires it at the Dark Flame Spire, which collapses onto the legions of soldiers soldiers. This means the curse field is gone, and Dai can defeat Flazard if he gets the chance. Baduk then suggests that Crocodile renames his attack to the Beast King Redemption Blast, which Crocodile appreciates. Hadler casts a powerful spell on Hyunkel, who is unfazed by the attack as his armor repels all magic. They begin a physical battle against each other like none other we've ever seen before. Hadler uses his Hell Claws, which can penetrate anything, and at the same time, Dai, Pop, and Mam reunite. In the fight, Hadler even appears to have a disadvantage, emphasizing Hyunkel's raw and immense power. Hyunkel casts a super powerful Bloody Scryed on Hadler, which knocks Hadler out. Just then, he wakes up and penetrates Hyunkel with his claws and casts a powerful spell inside of him. Could this finally be the end of Hyunkel, or will he defy the odds once again? Hadler prepares to fire his Kaziz spell once again, which is his most powerful, and Hyunkel fails to defend himself against it this time. This time, Hadler defeats Hyunkel, who lies on the floor approaching death. Scrambling for a desperate response, Hyunkel remembers a teaching from Yvonne that embodies life energy as a powerful attack. Hyunkel then resolves to fight using his aura, which is dangerous if a heart is filled with malice. As energy gathers around Hyunkel, he erupts explosively as he casts Grand Cross with the last of his life energy. Pop and Dai remember the light from when Yvonne gave his life, and they realize Hyunkel might also have sacrificed his life to defeat Hadler. Dai decides to go back and help Hyunkel. However, Pop is reluctant. Then Mam makes the decision for him and forbids them from returning. She says that rescuing the Princess Leona is their primary goal, and that Hyunkel and Crocodile already accepted the potential for death. We find out that Hyunkel's attack has completely obliterated his life force and prepares to slice off his head. Just before this, Hyunkel remembers Yvonne and Bartos, his sensei and father, and uses their memory to strike against Hadler with his armor sword. It penetrates deep into Hadler's second heart, and finally the battle might swing in Hyunkel's favor. Is Hadler finally dead, or will he cheat death once more? Mistvirn's sudden appearance might answer that question, though we swift cut to Flazard, who prepares to fight Dai, Pop, and Mam. That ends this incredible episode, which closes off with Hadler's apparent death. Though with this show, we know to take every death with a grain of salt. Perhaps we will find out in episode 19, which begins with Crocodile facing off against Saboera. He strikes him in the back with his Vortex Axe, though we find out it was a duplicate and not the real Legion commander. Hyunkel wakes up, but Hadler's body is gone. What's Hadler's fate this time? Will he be revived once more, or will the Dark King Vern find someone stronger to replace him? Pop and Dai fight against Flazard's Dancing Flames, and Mam joins in with her abilities to perform a three-way combined attack that obliterates them all. As they prepare to go inside the tower, Flazard appears and attacks Mam. Just before he's about to kill her, Hyunkel and Crocodile appear and incapacitate Flazard. Another battle between Legion commanders is scheduled to begin, though Flazard then prepares to surrender. Though we soon realize this is a farce. He rips off his medal and demands the power of the Dark King Vern. Hyunkel then reminisces the day Sovereign Rock Castle was built and the 6 Legion commanders gathered for the first time. In the flashback, we see Vern offer the infernal symbol to one of the Legion commanders, only if they're brave enough to take it. None of them are. Aside from Flazard, who uses his flame body to grasp the medal, Flazard is surrounded in purple energy and prepares a powerful blast attack that the heroes believe is a self-destruction. Giant pieces of shrapnel then surround the heroes, and we find that they are the pieces of Flazard. The Blitz King then reveals his final attack, Rock Bullet Shrapnel Detonation. One by one, the heroes attempt to attack Flazard, though any attacks only make him more powerful. A giant rock is launched towards Dai, though Hyunkel catches it and informs Dai of Flazard's core, the only rock that genuinely contains his life force. Unfortunately, there's so many rocks and shrapnel that it is impossible to find the source of Flazard's power. Just then, Dai remembers a teaching from the pervy mage, to see the unseen. Meanwhile, Mam is attacked by a form of Flazard. Though his flame and ice powers are clearly dwindling, Mam clearly pities the artificially created Flazard, who has no life or memories aside from that of battle. Dai then prepares his greatest attack, learned from Yvonne, though never performed by the tiny hero. As Flazard launches a powerful shrapnel attack, Dai refuses to dodge it in order to perform an all-powerful air slash against Flazard. The attack does little harm to Flazard though. Dai then begins to doubt himself. He remembers a moment between himself, Pop, and Yvonne, in which they talk about the air slash attack. Yvonne reveals the attack demands an aura of justice, and you must first charge your blade with this energy. You must also determine the enemy's true true form, which is the most difficult part. Yvonne rehashes Matareev's teaching of seeing the unseen, and we once again see how Yvonne's teachings have affected all of those around him. As Flazard continues to attack, his fingers begin to shatter, and we realize that Dai did in fact hit Flazard's core. The Blizzblade Legion commander begins another rock bullet shrapnel destruction attack, though this time Dai uses his air slash to negate much of the damage, until Flazard launches another attack that begins to hurt him. Just then, Hyunkel throws mud on Dai's eyes so he can't see and launches a training session for him to see with his inner eye. Hyunkel gives Dai the ultimate Yvonne sword attack style and gives him the ultimate power of vision without seeing. With his eyes closed, Dai senses a giant evil energy approaching and prepares an air slash on Flazard's core. Never before performed with such accuracy and intent, Dai is finally able to locate Flazard's core and destroys it swiftly. As Flazard begins to crack in half, we realize that he has finally been defeated. Though the episode ends before we can see the aftermath, the next episode begins and we find Hadler sitting upon his throne. Mistviren behind him has used his dark aura to keep him alive. We find that if Viren or Mistviren is alive, Hadler too will live on. Meanwhile, Dai has finally defeated Flazard, though Flazard seems unable to stay together without vaporizing himself. Pop casts Sizzle on the ice half, and Mam runs over to look after Dai. Hyunkel then must pulverize Flazard's fire half to properly kill him, though Mistviren appears and intervenes. Perhaps the most powerful of Hadler's Legion commanders, he offers Flazard a suit of armor that bonds with dark aura energy, and Flazard would then become one of Mistviren's minions. He is consumed by dark flame energy and returns in a suit of armor more powerful than his previous state. Bad luck arrives with Gome at perhaps the worst possible moment. As dark flame Flazard prepares to attack, Crocodile intervenes and catches his all-powerful fist. Flazard has become exponentially more powerful and charges through Pop and Hyunkel with ease. He aims to crush Dai, who pushes Mam away from him. Dai, with his eyes sealed shut, prepares to fight back and is thrown away by Flazard's flames. Dai dances away from the attack, feeling like it's impossible for him to lose against the dark flame Flazard. Dai's powers seem also to have increased due to his ability to see without his eyes. He continues to waltz around Flazard, knowing that his true raw power is too great. After mastering Air Slash, Dai can now attack with Yvonne's most powerful Yvonne Strash, which completely obliterates Flazard. Mistviren then finishes off Flazard, and Hyunkel reveals that he gave Flazard the power simply to test out Dai's strength. At the top of the tower, we find out the princess is too weak to break out of the ice. Pop attempts to melt the ice with his magic, and Crocodile is about to smash the ice with his axe before Mam intervenes. Mam then suggests using her magic bullet gun to destroy the ice by charging a bullet with a sizzle spell. We then find out that Pop is too weak to cast more magic, and Dai steps up to the task, knowing that he's the only one with the power to save Princess Leona. Dai begins to glow with the blue aura of his dragon crest, and imbues the bullet with a powerful Dragon Crest charged sizzle spell. It works, and Princess Leona is freed from the ice, though Mam's magic bullet gun is destroyed, the last remaining relic of Yvonne's legacy. As this happens, the Papnikov balloon ship arrives to whisk the heroes away from the battleground. A giant party and feast begins, and all of the heroes finally can enjoy a moment to celebrate. As Dai goes to greet Princess Leona, she jokes and ridicules Dai, reminding him of her playful side. Leona then approaches Hyunkel, not knowing he is a former undead Legion commander of the Dark Army. Hyunkel reveals this about himself, and suddenly the room goes quiet. He demands to be punished by the princess, and reveals his internal conflict of guilt and sorrow. She condemns him to save his life as a disciple of Yvonne. Princess Leona's sense of justice is powerful and forgiving, and Hyunkel even sheds a tear in the face of her mercy. As this happens, Matareev begins to change his mind about humans. As Crocodile drinks alone, Baduk approaches him and forces them to drink together. The Beast King drinks an entire keg of beer himself, and we see a friendship form between the two. Mam then meets Leona, and they also begin to form a friendship. After this, Hyunkel and Crocodile leave unannounced, heading towards Sovereign Rock Castle to perform espionage and report back regarding the Dark Army's movements. We then cut to Baran and Zabuera, who have captured the Karl Kingdom with the force of Baran's Dragon Legion. They begin to talk, and Zabuera mentions the Dragon Crest on Dai's Dai's forehead, and Baran erupts into rage. He realizes that Hadler has been planning something and hiding something from Baran. Why is the Dragon Legion commander so interested in Dai's forehead dragon crest? Could there be a connection between the two? This ends episode 20 of Dragon Quest Dai no Daibuken, and we are left wondering about the many mysteries that have arisen in this great adventurous arc. Who is Mistvirn, and what is his sinister relationship to the Dark King Virn? Does he have a major part to play in the overall storyline, or is he just another thrall of the Dark King? And perhaps the most intriguing question unanswered yet, what is the Dragon Legion commander Baran's role in this story? Does he have some untold connection to Dai? Is he the only one powerful enough to combat Dai's Dragon Crest powers? And will we see an epic showdown between the two anytime soon? We hope to find out in the next episodes of Dragon Quest Dai no Daibuken. And you can stay up to date by becoming a subscriber and hitting the bell button so we can prescribe you your daily dose of anime recaps.